Hi, good morning, everyone. Marcela Grobet here from Cuernavaca, Morelos. Today it's a quite warm but windy day. And well, let's hope that everything is fine with you. Today, what are we going to do? Today, we're going to work on a topic that I have called my first lessons. Yes, the one on the photo is me, the baby born with my mom. Of course, she has quite a tired face after giving birth to her fourth child. And yeah, we're going to explore a little bit. What were your first lessons, your first teachers? And how are we going to do this? We are going to reflect about the teachings that we have received in our lives and the importance of showing gratitude. What activities are we going to do? The first one is called Itsy Bitsy Spider. Then we're going to reflect upon a painting, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of being thankful. More than the benefits of from a spiritual viewpoint, we're going to talk about the brain and the benefits that it causes the brain to be thankful. All right, so let's begin with a little brain gym exercise called Itsy Bitsy Spider. This is a common activity, a common song that is taught to children. There is even a version in Spanish, of course. So, Itsy Bitsy Spider, I'm going to read it first, listen to the pronunciation. Itsy Bitsy Spider went up the water spout. Out came the rain and washed the spider out. Up came the sun and dried up all the rain, and Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again. And let me tell you an anecdote about my granddaughter. I was teaching her this song. She's going to be 5 years old. And of course, she didn't know what was a water spout. Do you know what a water spout is? You can look at it in the image. Okay, the water spout is a pipe that is usually used to bring the water accumulated for the rains or whatever, accumulated on the roof of our houses or buildings, and it takes the water down. That's the water spout. So since she didn't know the word, and I was teaching her the song, suddenly she started singing by herself, and she started singing Itsy Bitsy Spider went up the tree, she said. Okay, so children use their imagination. When they don't know something, they can adapt, and that's what the brain does. If there's no connection, no relationship, because she didn't know the word, because she had never seen a water spout, then she imagined Itsy Bitsy Spider climbing up a tree. Okay, so let's sing the song first. Well, I'm going to sing it while I do the exercise. What are we going to do? We put thumb with index and index with thumb. Okay? So we go, Itsy Bitsy Spider went up the water spout. Out came the rain and washed the spider out. Up came the sun and dried up all the rain, and Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again. Okay? That's the song that children usually learn, doing the mimic of the Itsy Bitsy Spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Up came the sun and dried up all the rain, and Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again. Now, we're going to do it only with the fingers, okay? This is brain gym. You are connecting both hemispheres. You are coordinating. You are using your motricity. And if you sing at the same time, it is more exercise for the brain. You can do it finger, well, thumb and index, switching, but then you can also change your fingers, and now we go for the middle finger. Yes, thumb is always there, but then you can go for the middle finger, and then you can go to the ring finger, okay, the ring finger, and then you can switch to the pinky, okay? Now let's go it backwards. Let's do that backwards. We go from the pinky to the ring, to the middle. Oops, I made a mistake. To the middle, and then to the index again. Can you do it singing? Itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Out came the rain and washed the spider out. Up came the sun and dried up all the rain, and itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again. So our first lessons, parents, teachers, tutors, grandpa, grandma, usually use games and songs and activities to teach young children things. Through constant repetition, children learn and children create new brain cells and new neurons so that they start learning and start improving their ability to speak, their physical activity, and many other skills they start to develop. But we, as grown-ups, we think that we're not able to learn. Nothing farther from the truth. We are always learning. We are always creating connections. The brain is also getting rid of connections. And we are also creating new cells if we learn something new. Okay, this is called neurogenesis. Okay, let's watch an image and talk about it. I'm very sure that you will recognize this image because it's from a very famous Mexican painter. Well, maybe you don't recognize the image because it's quite different than other images that this painter has created and what she's famous for. But she's, I think, the most famous woman Mexican painter throughout the world. Her name, Frida Kahlo. So this image, believe it or not, is from Frida Kahlo. Perhaps you have known her for other paintings like the one that I have in the back. Well, it's not an original one. It's a recreation from a Frida Kahlo painting. But this one, the portrait of Doña Rosita Morillo, is also a painting from Frida Kahlo. It was painted in 1944. So take a close look at the image. What do you see? Take a look at the woman's face, her expression, what she's doing. What does she have in the background? And, well, what else do you notice? Perhaps you notice her hands. What is she doing? I'm going to give you some time to look at the image while I tell you a little bit about this painting and Frida Kahlo as well. Okay, well, Frida Kahlo was born in 1907 in Coyoacán, Mexico City. And, well, her mother was Matilde Calderón. She died on September 1932 from breast cancer. Frida at that time was already married to Diego and was living in the United States when her mother passed away. Some people say that this painting reflects a little bit the feelings that Frida had about the absence of her mother, that she's expressing the strong woman that her mother was, and she's expressing also, well, her teachings or her affection that she had towards her mother. That is like the emotional part of this painting. But facts, the objective part, is that Eduardo Morillo, who was Rosita's son, was a diplomat and one of the biggest collectors and sponsors of Frida's work. Eduardo Morillo asked Frida to paint portraits about all the members in his family. So Frida painted not only Rosita, Eduardo's mother, but also his children and other people around his family. This is a portrait, yes, a portrait that Frida Kahlo painted in 1940, okay? Just before her father died. Guillermo Kahlo died in 1941. So whether it is subjective or objective, well, actually we have both parts of it, the subjective and the objective part. The truth is that it's quite a different painting from what Frida Kahlo is known. She's usually known by her sort of dramatic and paintings about Frida and her heart and Frida and her pain and all of these terrible situations that she had because of the accident that she had when she was a teenager. Okay, so let's go back to this portrait of Doña Rosita Morillo. We can see an old woman, quite a hard face, strong face, like maybe she has had a very difficult life. Okay, you can see her smile like going down. The expressions on her eyes. She's looking forward, all right. She's dressed in blacks and grays, and she's wearing a shawl that is brownish or dark red, and she's knitting. It's a usual activity for grandmothers or for old women to knit. Take a look at her hands. How do you imagine Rosita Morillo? I imagine her a very strong woman, determined, severe. Maybe she was very severe with her children and her grandchildren even. She was a working woman, perhaps, in her youth, or at least at home. When she was married, she had to do lots of chores at home. So she has these strong hands with which she is holding the knitting. And well, it's like the painting is so realistic in such detail, so many details, that we feel we can almost reach out and touch her. Take a look at the plants behind her. Okay, they are cactus or cacti. And you can see the spikes in these cactus. You can see the details with which Frida Kahlo painted this painting. And you can see that she has some hair outside of her braid. So Frida was very detailed in these kind of things. And although she is an elderly woman, Frida emphasizes the sense of physical strength through the hands that are firmly grasping the knitting needles. Yes? So this is not surreal painting like most of Frida's paintings. This is a realistic painting in the style of Frida. Okay? You can see the flowers on the cacti over there. And this idea of painting cacti and not flowers precisely gives you, or gives me at least, the idea of these hardships that Rosita Morillo had to go throughout her lives. I would like to ask you now, what memories does this bring to you? Perhaps you remember your grandmother or your mother or, I don't know, a teacher that taught you something. In my case, it makes me remember my grandmother. She was a tough woman, but not very tough. She was very kind. I remember her very lovely. She died when I was only 10 years old. But still, I remember that she was the one who taught me to knit. It's not an activity that I do frequently, but she taught me how to knit. And I remember her sitting on her rocking chair and me sitting beside her. And she told me how to do the laces and everything to get the knitting done. And sometimes I didn't do right, so it was so loose that my needle got lost, or right, fell, and everything was a disaster, and she fixed it. And she showed me again how to tie the yarn, okay, so that I wouldn't lose the needle. And other times I would tie the yarn so much that it would become impossible to get the needle inside the knitting. And so again, I was, Abuela, please help me. I'm stuck here. And she would go and try to loosen it up and fix it so that I could continue knitting. I remember my grandma's teachings with lots of love. She didn't only teach me this, she taught me some songs, she taught me some games, she taught me so many things. I had a wonderful time with her whenever I could spend time with her. Of course, I have so many memories of so many people who helped me become who I am. From my mother and my father, from my brothers and sisters, my teachers, my English teacher, for example, yes, she's the one who taught me first Itsy Bitsy Spider. So I remember my first English teacher, maybe I was 7, I was 8 years old, and I remember her with dear love. What other things can you mention about this painting, and what emotions does it provoke in you? Are there any emotions on you? Besides remembering some of your teachers, maybe you can mention what teachings do you remember from your first years when you were a child, and who taught you to do that? What's the feeling that you get when you see Rosita Morillo? What is she thinking? Is she thinking about anything, or is she just knitting? My mother used to knit too. She liked to do it so much. And I know that when she was knitting, she was thinking, because knitting became so mechanical that on many occasions, this was like her therapy to relax. And she would go on to thinking, what would be the next step, or what would she cook, or what should she do about one child or another, or whatever. I don't know. But usually when we do this kind of mechanical things like knitting, or maybe like drawing or painting, that's why mandalas have become popular, because they bring you to a state of flow and relaxation, that your mind is free to wander in other thoughts, and sometimes bright ideas come from there. All right, so many people have taught us things. And how often do you show gratitude towards these people? You don't have to do it in person, all right? But being thankful brings many benefits to the brain. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of being thankful, of showing gratitude, of saying thank you. Many times we only think about the bad things that people did to us. I could tell you about some personal experiences. My father was quite a tough man. He was usually very strict with us, but I can really be thankful because he taught me, he gave me my first lessons on cooking. Yeah, he was tough, and yeah, maybe we didn't enjoy very much helping him in the kitchen when he wanted to cook something. But I learned from him my first lessons on how to cook. Yeah, I can think maybe that my mother sometimes was, I don't know, weak, but I know that I learned many things from her. I know that I learned to be responsible, to be punctual, to be patient with so many things, how to handle money wisely, because she frequently struggled to make ends meet. So she was maybe weak in some senses, but she was very strong in many other ways. I can think of my first teacher in elementary school. She was, well, not in elementary, sorry, in kinder 3, when we are supposed to learn to write and read. I am a left-handed, so I remember my teacher struggling to take my hand and bring me to write with my, I mean, she would use her right hand to direct my left hand. I know it was difficult for her, but she did it with all her love of being a teacher. As I told you, I remember my first English teacher, Miss Marin, and I'm very thankful to her because she gave me my first lessons of English. And even though we used a book that was actually for adults, she found her ways to make the class nice for children. She was playful. She taught us songs. She taught us games. And that's how I started to develop my English language. So I'm sure that there is always something you can be grateful for, even though you have an ugly boss or a brother or a friend or whatever that did something that you consider to be not very nice. We'd better change the chip and think of what benefits did that person bring to you. So gratitude helps people to connect to something larger than themselves as individuals. Yes, okay. I felt bad with my father when I was in the kitchen with him, but I can see the greater picture, and I can see that now I have a taste for cooking, and I also developed a taste for different kinds of food. I am seeing something that is larger than myself as an individual. And this takes place in the brain little by little. So little by little, you start switching from looking at the ugly things to looking at the benefits of what these people have brought to you. Number two, gratitude shifts us away from toxic emotions, just what I have mentioned. It's instead of thinking, he was such a bad person, or he is so ugly, or she is so nasty towards me, you start shifting away from those toxic emotions into thinking, okay, she can sometimes have nasty attitudes, but I can see that I am learning something from her. So I thank her. I am grateful to her because I am learning to see things from another perspective. Number three, gratitude helps even if you don't share it. Yes, sometimes you have the opportunity to go to the person and say, thank you very much because you gave me this, because you helped me with that. Other times you don't have the opportunity to say that because the person has passed away or lives far away from you. All right, write it on a piece of paper. Thank you, Mom, because you gave me this. Thank you, Grandma, because you taught me to knit. Thanks, Pa, because you taught me to cook. And you can write it on small pieces of paper and put it in a jar or keep them or throw them away, whatever you want. Number four, gratitude benefits take time. As I told you, there are small changes inside your brain. Little by little, we start generating more dopamine, more serotonin, good neurotransmitters that will help us be more positive in our lives. And it has lasting effects on the brain. So, my suggestion for you, if you would like to do it, it would be fantastic. Show gratitude every time. Maybe before you go to sleep, think of 1 or 2 or 5 things that you recognize were beneficial for you during the day. Think of 5 people or 3 people who brought you something, from whom you learned something, and show gratitude. You can write them on a notebook, you can write them on pieces of paper, anything, but write them down. This exercise is better if you write it down, not only think about, oh, thanks, I don't know, thanks, friend, because today you helped me grab my bags or whatever. So it has lasting effects on our brain. Our neurons start changing connections or getting stronger connections. And the thalamus, a part of the midbrain that is, let's say, in the back part of our brain, the thalamus also starts growing, producing more brain cells. The thalamus is the one where baby cells are. And when you start showing gratitude, the brain feels that it needs to produce more brain cells, and it starts producing them, so you have more opportunities to make new connections and to learn more things. So, just as a final conclusion, be grateful, be thankful for whatever lesson you learn during the day, for whatever help you get during the day, for whatever new connection with people that you did during the day. And, well, thank you very much for being here. And I hope to see you next one. Remember that every Sunday we have a new mini Common Arts session. And these are pre-recorded, of course, but also on Mondays and Wednesdays, we have real Common Art sessions where you can participate, you can talk, you can give your opinions, express what you think, what you like, what you feel, and share your experiences and practice English in that way. And also, well, this is September. We are in September. September is, let's say, the month of Mexico. So in September, I'm sharing Mexican artists in these mini common art sessions, but in the live sessions, I am sharing indigenous cultures, traditions of Mexico before colonialism, because I think it's very important that we get to know Mexico from our original cultures, but also from our modern or not so very modern, or not, I mean, maybe not, they are not living now, but they are relevant for the Mexican culture. So I'll see you around. Please remember to like the video. Remember, if you want to share it, to subscribe so that you get the notifications. And if you want to participate in these common art sessions, please contact me. I'll let you how and when, so that you can participate actively in these conversations. Follow me on my social media, Facebook, Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can follow me there, and to be attentive of new videos or new webinars or new courses that I'm giving both in English and in Spanish. Thanks, and have a wonderful day. Bye.